Good morning. I am going to start this chat, this informal chat on the rise and fall of gifted people in French administration. This is a theme that was presented to me by Thierry Burnel, and I decided to give you a little bit of information on this theme, and I'll first give a presentation, and then you can ask your questions on the different aspects that I will have touched upon. The fact is that the estimate, and this is important, the estimate of the number of Mensans in French administration, the public administration in the general sense, is about 5%, which means about 50 people. But this is really just an estimate, because of course there are no hard facts on the different professions of Mensans, and I'll give more detail on that later. But the other important aspect of this is that this is Mensans, so it's not just, it's not gifted people. There are much more gifted people, of course, in administration in France. And this gives rise to a number of issues that I'll talk about now.
Sont-ils visibles? Je m'étais posé cette question. Sont-ils visibles? Bon, on a déjà répondu, donc, environ 5%.
So the different issues are, first of all, the visibility of these gifted people in administration. The second issue is whether they are working as gifted people. Are they recognized, and are they using the fact that they are gifted in the office that they hold? How can they do this? And this leads to the second question: is whether they are using their full potential, their full capacity in the job that they have. I'll try to answer this later. The next question will be about recruitment and how people have access to these different jobs in administration. Most of the time this is through competitive exams or through diplomas, university or college diplomas, and so this would lead to thinking that the most gifted people would be recruited into these positions, but this will also be a question for debate. And finally, the most difficult probably of all questions, and the most general as well, would be to try to understand what type of intelligence is necessary to fulfill at best these jobs in administration, and what type of intelligence these administrations need. The last of all the issues that I'll touch upon is one that was offered by Thierry Burnel explicitly. He asked me to talk about ENARC, which is graduates from the ENA, the highest school for public administration in France, and to understand what type of an elite these people make up. This is a very special group of people who have this diploma from ENA.
Et enfin, ça c'était une demande particulière de Thierry Burnel, dont voulait que je vous parle un peu de l'ENA, des énarques, heures et malheurs des énarques et des hauts fonctionnaires en général dans l'administration. Ces derniers étant considérés aussi comme des surdoués de l'administration et constituant un groupe, une catégorie particulière. Donc on pourra en parler un petit peu. Donc je vais peut-être m'arrêter là.
So this presentation will be somewhat of a sociological study of gifted people in administration. The fact is that there is no such study up until now. We'll wonder about what the number, the different types of gifted people in the public services and in civil service, in the private sector and in the public sector. And the fact is that this type of study has never been done before because it's never been considered useful. It's also the fact that it would be very difficult to conduct. The most Mensans that I know work in education or in research. They are professors or researchers, and they work in different institutions.
diverses institutions.
So one very important date is 1946, and the fact is that this is the date where when Mensa was created in England, but it's also the date when the INA, the High School of Administration, was created. Actually, it was created in 1945, but the first civil servants to graduate from this school graduated in 1946, and this is important for a number of reasons that I will now tell you about.
1946, c'est aussi la date de création de l'ENA. En fait, le décret est de 1945, hein, mais c'est à partir de 1946 que les premières générations de hauts fonctionnaires de l'ENA vont donc exercer leurs activités dans l'administration publique. Voilà, c'est important de souligner ça, je préciserai un peu plus après. Car en réalité, on a un parallèle à établir entre les deux, la naissance à la fois de Mensa et de l'ENA. Je fais ce rapprochement parce que pour la création de Mensa, c'était aussi une réflexion d'après-guerre pour se dire qu'il fallait que donc les gens.
So there's a parallel that we can make between the creation of Mensa and the creation of INA, the ENA, the High School of Administration, because they were both created somewhat for the same motivation. Mensa was created to enable gifted people, people who were more the most intelligent, to be successful in society and improve better society in relation to what had happened in the first half of the second century, which was not very positive. And this, we all know about this, the history and the origin of Mensa, but for INA, the ENA, it's somewhat similar. The ENA was created because it was deemed necessary by the General de Gaulle, the president of the time after the Second World War, and his prime minister, Michel Debré, but also Maurice Thorez, who is often forgotten, to create, it was deemed necessary by these three men to create a corps of an elite corps, in a sense, a high-level corps of administrators who would replace the overseas administrators who'd been operating during French colonial times. This was in the 50s and 60s, at the beginning of decolonization. And the objective was to avoid the pitfalls in management of public affairs that France had fallen into during the 30s. So the motivations for the creation of both bodies was quite similar, to avoid the pitfalls and mistakes of the past.
Coloniale, enfin, pour remplacer ces fonctionnaires qui étaient chargés d'administrer à l'extérieur des pays, des territoires, et avec le début de la décolonisation, les années 50, 60, l'envie de créer un corps, une sorte de corps d'élite de l'administration pour éviter voilà, certaines dérives ou des dérives qui ont pu être connues dans la gestion des affaires dans les années qui précédaient la guerre, les années 30 par exemple. Voilà. Donc il y a un rapprochement à faire. Donc la motivation est tout à fait semblable. Faire quelque chose de bien pour éviter des conflits et ce qui s'était passé avant. Donc il est important de rappeler ça avec cette date, 1946. Oui, on se souvient que, et là c'était la première guerre, de la phrase de Guillaume Apollinaire, à la fin tu es là de ce monde ancien. C'est-à-dire qu'il y a cette idée et cette volonté de...
So I'd like to quote a phrase by Apollinaire. He said that in the end we are wary of this old world. And so this is indeed the desire to go forward and to better the world, make a better world, a more pacified, a more peaceful world. I'm now going to go into the different aspects of the role of gifted people in public administration, the role of HIQs or HIPs. First, there's a military role in terms of order and hierarchy. This goes back to the post-revolutionary time in French history, with the creation of the grandes écoles, the higher colleges. This was at the Napoleonic time, at the beginning of the 19th century. It was a glorious time when French administration was created. This was also the time of the creation of the Civil Code, which is a main aspect of French law, which is still implemented today, and it was also used as a model throughout the world. So the first aspect is a strategic aspect of intelligence, of the use of intelligence in the military, but it was also extended into the administration.
Souvent servi de modèle et qui est toujours en vigueur. Donc, on est là dans l'intelligence stratégique. Cette intelligence stratégique a été mise en œuvre sur le plan militaire, comme chacun sait, mais aussi, elle peut l'être au-delà, dans le cadre de l'administration.
So, as in the military and the administration, there is this idea of organization, creating bodies, different levels, categories that fall one under the other. And this, in order to have a better running and to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And in this hierarchy, there is a possibility of internal evolution, of internal promotion. And this was also a way for the whole administration to work smoothly, but it was also a subject of derision by caricaturists in the 19th and 20th century. The idea that everybody working in these administrations were very submissive and bowed to their higher-ups and just obeyed orders. The fact is that every time power is wielded by the state or by a public power, this is a subject of derision. So many writers and caricaturists wrote about this. For instance, Georges Courteline, he wrote a pamphlet which was called Messieurs les ronds de cuir, and or in other words, the gentlemen pencil pushers. Alphonse Daudet also wrote about the under-prefect of the fields, in the fields, le sous-préfet aux champs. And so this was all a way of making fun of these high officials. I'm not going to go into the different ranks that were put in place, the prefect, for instance, but this was a time when the different departments, for instance, the different jurisdictions were created in France. At the time, the state was considered to be a coercive state, which imposed law and order, security, and defense as well on its constituents. So all individuals living in that state were submitted to the laws of the state.
C'est un peu l'État coercitif, représentant de l'ordre, chargé de la sécurité, de la défense, et auquel seraient soumis les individus, les citoyens, les habitants du pays.